We had a question of how would you help a new coach dealing with feelings of imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I this question comes up a lot. And I first heard this when I was in college, and it was a thing that people talked about. A lot of people felt like, "Oh, I shouldn't be here. Why am I here? I don't deserve it," type of thing. I think that came up a little bit for me in some when I was starting my coaching practice, mostly because I just wasn't that good at it, like good at coaching yet, and I just suffered through a couple really tough coaching sessions. I just kept gaining experience, and I wasn't prepared in a certain way that I have in the training I developed. Rick really emphasized setting that initial agenda and foundation, which I think helps so much. Like it's so when you're having really positive coaching sessions, I feel like it's easier to get over the you know the imposter syndrome gap. So there, I wanted to just acknowledge there is something very real about I need to gain the skill set that I need in order to deliver the coaching sessions that I want to deliver. Okay, I acknowledge and see that. Now, now, next step on this is to, for me, imposter syndrome is it's a signal that you are in like a level one perspective, in that you're thinking about your your practice, how you show up, all of these things for the sake of yourself. And we can do a little. Let's do a little experiment right now. Like what it feels like to move from level one motivation to level two motivation, or level one perspective to a level two perspective. What I see is the exercise is to move away from asking how is my practice serving me, or how am I showing up in my practice, and asking the question, how can I best contribute to the mission that I want to accomplish? How can I best help other people? And when you're shifting to that level two perspective, or that level two motivation, it's when you're at service or you're in service, you don't feel the same kind of stressors. It's not the same question. It's not imposter syndrome doesn't really make sense from a level two perspective because there's work to be done. So roll up your sleeves and get your hands in the mud and get down and do the work. So it's imposter syndrome almost becomes an excuse for procrastination, an excuse for self-pity, an excuse for ingratitude. I mean, it's just a lot of it provides an eddy of emotional mental space that is people can get stuck in. And for me, the answer to a lot of these questions is, if I'm in that space, then I need to remember my mission. I need to remember, the world needs more kindness and empathy. What can I do right now to help bring more kindness and empathy to the world? How can I go back and live that life that is based on the mission of bringing life coaching training to every high school teacher, to the health and wellness field, to make life coaching part of just what people do in the executive realms? Like, it's just part of the company culture. Of course, people work with coaches or are trained as coaches, or you have organizations that really foster a coaching culture. So that's my perspective on it. I'm admittedly not an expert in imposter syndrome. Like I haven't studied it a lot. I haven't looked at it. I've coached people around it. And for me, it's always this question. The answer is go back to your mission. Go back to that level two perspective and motivation. Ready for the exercise? Let's
Are
do
we
one.
doing
I
it
want to do
now?
one. Yeah, just right now, just like a little breathing one. Everyone listening at home, in your, and there was. Did you hear the fire truck go by too? Is the mic pick that up? Yeah, yeah. It's it's the roads are snowy. You never know, but there's a lot of things happening. All right, so let's do this. Take a deep breath. Think about a goal, where you want to be, something that, where you want to be the next 2 weeks, and think about the impact that it will have on you personally. The balance in your bank account, the way people think about you, what you're able to accomplish, how productive you'll feel. In this space, you probably notice, I do myself, anxiety and stress go up a little bit, thinking, I want this for myself. It will mean so much to me. Then you can feel the eddies. You can feel the little spinny places where your mental emotional energy is used to spinning around. And then just let it evaporate. Let that evaporate away. And take another deep breath. And go into bringing to mind the people you want to serve. The difference, like that specific person and the difference in their life because of your work. Imagine them getting that insight that they need, or that support that they need, or the gift of your energy, your mental emotional energy. And then imagine that multiplied by 10, 100, 1,000, and the outward ripple effect of the work and the motivation that you're putting in, the difference that it's going to make. And then embrace this challenge, these challenges in front of you, as a means to make that motivation happen, that ripple effect. And then come back. Let's come back. Take a deep breath. Feel your feet again. The floor. How was it, Ashley? How'd it go?
Good. Yeah, I needed that today.
What did you notice? What did you notice? Yeah.
It's interesting when you mentioned kind of the anxiety. Initially, I felt that, like when you said that, I felt like you were like reading my mind, where I was like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna get there in 2 weeks? I feel like there's so much going on. And then by the end, I'm like, whoa, okay, it's actually a lot simpler than I'm making it seem when I think about that. And there's a lot, like you were just talking about the gratitude, and there's a lot of like joy. Like one of my resounding like messages is like, how do I bring joy? How do I bring fun into these things that I have to do in the next couple weeks? And in the end, will also result into who I would like to be or what I would like to accomplish. Um, that was cool, John.
What did you have to let go of, going from the level 1 perspective to the level 2 motivation perspective?
Control.
Yeah.
For sure. And I find myself doing that too, even as a coach and in my coaching business. I want to control the outcome for somebody, and not control it in the sense of get the like push them somewhere, but I want them to have this remarkable experience and walk away knowing themselves and feeling known and loved more. But there's a point of releasing that and allowing somebody else to take that responsibility and step into it too. And so I felt that for myself. Like I let go of that control for myself and allowed myself to step into the other half of it all. So that was cool. If that made sense.
Yeah, totally. Totally. What happens to your like mental emotional space when you really go into that level 2, like the ripple? Like, when you were visualizing the ripple, what did you notice?
Yeah, well, I didn't even see myself,
Yeah.
and I think that's what was really cool is I was seeing these other women that I'm coaching, or even the life coaches. One of the things I was thinking about is our life coaches in our community and helping them grow. And I just saw them doing their things. Like I had some specific people come to mind that are in our community or that I've coached, and I could see them living out like their purpose and what they're supposed to be doing. And almost like, the taking the candle and lighting somebody else's. It was kind of that I was seeing that. And I didn't see myself in that vision. It was kind of like I was at the beginning, and then they just took it from there like a wildfire. And
Right. Right. I was seeing it too. And the key to leading these kind of things and doing these exercises is you have to put yourself in that same mental space too. Like I do it when I'm leading things like this. I'll do it for, I see it myself. I feel it. I feel the same feels.
Mm.
And then, yeah, the ripple was cool. That was really cool.
It was really cool.
That was fun. I do this for myself. I mean, a part of it is structures. Like part of what when we coach, talk about a lot of structures of creating things that can remind you to go level two. This is part of the work of being an entrepreneur, or of being a pioneer and bringing a coaching session to an organization. It's how can I develop structures so I can remember what I'm after,
Mm.
like remember the big thing that I'm trying to create for the sake of others. And if that happens, then it becomes, different things that pop up, negative things that might occur, pop up. They don't have the same sting. They don't have the same. What's the term? It does. Sometimes they get me, but oftentimes it's like, okay, like um, not yet, but just keep going. So it's yeah. I mean, it feels like there's this acceptance, I think, of more of what is without it wishing it different either
Mm.
happening. If we go back to the first thing we talked about, it's an interesting space, but I feel like this level two motivation is something that I consciously tap in as many times as I can a day.
Very cool. For somebody that is implementing this into their life in a new way right now, how do
Mm.
they determine what frequency they need to be looking at this? Like, what is the best way to navigate how often or they should be looking at this and
Mhm.
creating a structure?
I think okay, so I'm thinking back to when I was coaching, and like, I mostly work with students, and so the structure was a lot of after school hours, and so the structure for me was in the mornings I had free hours to do a lot of the admin, a lot of the development, outreach, marketing, website things. All of those things were in the morning, and then I would meet my clients back to back in the afternoons, and that was a great structure for me. The key to this is if coaches can find a daily practice of remembering this in a way that they do it daily. For me, it was creating a vision recording of where I want to be in a year, like just literally just saying the things I was grateful for into a microphone and put music in the background. I used to listen to these like 3 or 4 times a day, like both like in the in the car going or on my bike. Like I just play it on the for the world to hear. And I would just listen to these things while I was going to and from my client sessions. And the idea of I would come back sometimes so filled up because I had listened to my recording maybe 3 to 5 times going there, coached 5 people, 4 or 5 people, listened to it again 3 to 5 times coming back. So I had this like crazy intense uh, period of maybe 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours a day, of just feeling like I'm changing the world. I am getting so pumped up doing my client sessions, feeling like young people, like there's a chance for us to really change the way that people are educated and learn, and then I come back and feel all jazzed and debrief with the moist and figure out next steps and rinse and repeat. And I did that for years. And so there becomes a habit of positivity that gets built in, and then you start adding in, you know, different insights from different studies or what people have talked about, and you start to create a really strong and robust structure and system to maintain that mental emotional space. And something beautiful happens too when you learn to listen empathetically. As a family, we just watched the movie Encanto, and it's, oh my goodness, like it's on point, and realizing that Mirabelle, the main character, her 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 power is empathy, and you can see it in the impact of it. It's It's wow. It's a wow. So my 2 year old say, my 5 year old would say, it's a wow. And that's what you, that's the space you want to get into. You want to get into, wow, it's a wow. Like my impact can be a wow. And the awesome part about it is it's not about us. It's not about us. It's about other. And to find structures to get in that. If you can make it a habit, that's winning. How about for you, Ashley? What structures do you have in your life? I know you have them. We've talked about these
Yeah.
ideas.
I love that though. I think that the conversation around empathy needs to be more present in so many of our lives, and just this idea we can grow in empathy too. It's a learned, you can learn empathy. For me, for structures, I really mornings are really huge for me. Morning, if I don't take my time in the morning to do some reading and meditation and things like that, then it's hard for me, or not hard for me, but I can feel it's a little different in the day. I'm just a little bit offbeat, just maybe a little bit. Maybe that's like my inner dialogue might be a little off, or I might be a little bit slower on some things, but the morning is huge. So well, actually, it starts with the evening. I go to bed at a certain time and wake up at a certain time. And I know what time I need for each thing in order to feel successful before I start my work day. And that is reading. I love reading in the morning. It's a great time while I'm drinking my coffee, and I do a devotional and then do some meditation and some journaling and practicing gratitude is really impactful for me every day, and setting an intention for the day too. Like, what is my intention for today? And it could be the same one that I had for this last week, or it can be different. And yeah, that's a big thing for me when I'm out of that groove. I can feel it definitely. I'm a little bit out of that groove right now because there's been so much going on, but this morning I was like, I am going to sit down, even if it's like I'm just listening to something that's going to be hit me to the core of my heart this morning. I need it. So um, I could feel that for today. I was like, wow, I'm really glad that I took time to do that. Um,
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's in the space. I mean, for me, it's if people this works when it's connected to something that you do on a daily basis. If like I do this when I drink my coffee, yeah, that's connection. That works. That checks out. Or I do this when I'm going to and from client sessions that I do on a daily basis. Yeah, that checks out. So it's just finding something that you do on a daily basis that you can connect your practice to.
yeah,
That's the key.
yeah, that's
And it
so good.
matters, especially, yeah.
What'd you say?
No, it matters. Like especially when you're alone. When you're doing your business alone, or you're isolated, you don't have a team around you. It becomes even more imperative to do these kinds of things.
Yeah. And I would say even to get as like specific as what do you do before you go into a session with a client? What is your setup routine, and not just the logistical thing, but how do you get yourself in that space where it is for the other as opposed to for yourself? Because I think when we show up for our clients too, it's really important we take that time.
Here, before we leave, I want to get the researcher's name right because it's bugging me, and she deserves it. It's Oettingen, Oettingin, and her work has been blowing my mind lately. Yeah.
Hear that, everybody? Check it out.
I've
I
been
always
reading.
forget we meet people on the other side of here.
Yeah, I mean, I've been reading. It's Gabrielle. So, yeah, I've been reading the psychology of thinking about. There he is. The psychology of thinking about the future
Wow.
has been what I've been diving into lately, and yeah, I think there's this. I mean, there. We'll get into what positive psychology next week more. That was one of the questions that was on the table. We didn't get to completely. Uh, Maybe we'll get Britt in here too to talk about that one
There we
these
go.
times. Anyway, thank you for all of you listening. Thank you,
Yeah.
Ashley, for stepping in for Raj. She's out today, and yeah, I wish everyone a happy 2022. Thank you for
Yes.
listening.
Happy New Year, everyone. everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Reach out. Let us know if you have other questions. You could always send us a message on Instagram or an email at support@coachtrainingedu.com, and we'll make sure to implement them into these lives. Thank you for being here.